Hi everyone. I made a couple of projects using the Dragons papers and I've got a few leftovers. So these are the two projects I've made before. This is a soft cover fabric covered journal, which I really love. So it's got that lovely leathery feel, bendable quality about it, and it has lots of different bits and pieces that pop out and flip out and so on. And so when I was making this, I did do a lot of cutting down of papers and so on. So I've got leftovers from making this. So that's one. And then I just made this one as well. So this was a lovely pop-up card that I made this to go on the front cover of a journal. And so this is kind of what's driving what I'm going to do now. So from these two projects, I've ended up with not a lot, but these are the scraps that are left from, basically these are the bits and pieces that are left over from the making of those two. And so I thought, well, I'll use these, I'll start these, and I want to make something that's basically tailor making the journal to fit this one. And if you're interested in making that, I'll pop the link to that video in the notes. And so I thought what I'll do is I'll print a few extra pages from the kit. So these are some more of the scrapbook papers, and so I've printed these extra pages, and what I wanted to do was make a journal that's going to be this size, because let me get that out of the way. If I've got an image there that size, then this being the feature on the front cover sits beautifully on that size. And so to get that, this is the scrapbook papers. All I did is I went into my printer settings, and in the page layout I chose 2 pages per sheet, and so that gave me that size. So that's what I'm going to work with. So I need the front cover to be sturdy enough to support that, because it's quite a big piece of ephemera to put on the front. And so what I've thought I'd do is I've got some file folders in different sizes, and these are they're fairly sturdy, but what I want to do is I'll double them up just to make sure that it's strong enough to hold that. And I got a few different colours out, because I thought with the scraps that are left, I thought I really like this colour. These are the Pendaflex. These are Pendaflex, and I got these on Amazon. So I really like that colour with some of the pieces, particularly that. I think that goes nicely, and they're 2 tones, so I could use either side. So I thought, just to, instead of doing the same colour all of the time, and there's quite a few of the images have that bluey green tone in it that would work on that. And I've also got the grey, because I think a lot of the images would look nice with the grey as well. So I just sort of sat them around. I'll figure it out as I go. So I don't have much more of a plan than that. I've been making some progress with this journal. So I've taken the file folder and I've taken the images. I've cut my images down. And for me, my images on my printer have come out at a height of 5.5. So I've cut them all out and inked around the edges. So I want my height of my journal to be slightly larger than these. So I want it to be 5 3/4 in height, and that will just give me a little bit of space around it. So I've taken the file folders and I've cut them down to 5 3/4 in height, and I've chosen a couple of different colours for the moment. And I'm just going to show you what I'm doing with the journal construction. So it's easy to see here the score marks that are already on the file folder. So that one has 3 marks, these one have 2. So all I'm doing is I'm using those existing score marks and I'm folding on that line. And that's the other existing score line. So I'm just sort of folding those lines and trying to keep it all square and level. And then I'm popping that in. Just trying to keep everything lined up so that I end up with this little tab. And so I'm just going to glue that. I'm using art glitter glue. So that gives me a little tab. So I'm going to do that on all of these pages. And then that tab is going to hold my insert pages. And so what I've done with these, I've cut some pieces that are the same height. So these ones are the same height, and the maximum length I could get using my file folders was from this point to this point. So I've cut these cards to be the same width, which in my case is 7 3/4. And so I've got my 4 file folder bits for the moment. And so I'm making 4 insert pages to fit on those tabs. So I've cut 4 pieces that are the same height and the width that I need for that length. And the other 2 pieces are the same measurements, except I've added an extra inch onto the height, and I've scored at a 1/2 inch in on either side. And so all I'm making is an envelope basically, or a sleeve. So I'm going to score those in, take one of these insert pages, and I'm going to glue both these pieces together and make that sleeve that's going to slip over the little tab that we've got in the journal. And so once that's done, I can take my file folder and I'm just going to take a little edge off either side just to make that easier to slip that on. And then when I'm ready, this sleeve is going to glue onto that tab just like that and become an extra page. So I'm going to do that for all 4. I'm not going to glue it at the moment, and I'll explain why. So here's one I've made earlier. This is the main page with the extra bit I've folded over. That will be a side pocket. Here's the middle piece that I've glued onto that tab. And here's the back page. Excuse the sound effects. And then what I'm going to do in this journal is I've added a few extra pieces. I've made these 2 little bits just by measuring the width and height and cutting that piece and adding a 1/2 inch off, and that's going to be 2 little doors that will flip out and open that way. So I'm not gluing these things on yet until I make decisions about what I'm going to do with it all. And then this can have something attached onto there, which I think in this case will be these 3 little pages. So this page will tuck in, this little tab will tuck into that, and then I can glue that in place. And then these pages will glue in like that. Actually, that will fold down and they'll glue on top. So that will become 3 pages that flip out, and I'll put a closure on there. So that's those 3. And I've done that just to start getting the decorations done. So that's the structure basically. So just to quickly go through it again, I've cut the file folder to a height that works. I've folded that the pre-scored lines in to make a tab, and I've made sleeves to fit over the tab. And then where I want to add bits and pieces, so for example, if I wanted to add these two doors to this page, before I glued that tab on, I would glue that little tab inside the sleeve like that on both ends so that the tabs are hidden, and then I would glue the sleeve onto the little tab that's sitting out. So I'm going to go through and get the structure of this put together, and I will come back and show you the progress of the journal. The other thing I'm going to do is I've deliberately left this extra length on because what I want to do is add a small spine in here so that I can stitch in or attach some extra pages on the journal. So there'll be lots of bits and pieces that flip out and lots of spots to decorate it, but also some writing space. I've made some decisions now about what's going to go where, and I found a few envelopes that work well with the colour scheme. These are small ones, so I can add those here and there. From the scraps, I've just cut out one of the images and backed it on with some book page and cut out a few bits and pieces to make a notebook. And then this is just one of the bits of cut off manila folder, and I'll decide whether to put it on that side or that side depending on where it goes in the journal. So I'll put that together and I'll just use staples for that. There's another thing that I've made that will tuck into a side pocket. It's another one of the images, and I've put some book page behind it, and again a flip up. That's just one of the liner pages of book cover, and that will tuck into one of the big pockets. This is one of the images that I've just shaped into a pocket and just put some book page on the back to make it a little bit stronger, and I've cut a little notch out, and that's ready to be a pocket on one of the pages. The front cover, this was the flip up element that I've made. So for the front cover, this was they were joined together on one of the pages, so I've taken this and added some glossy accents to it and inked it, and that's going to be the front cover of that piece. So I'm just clipping that there, and then thinking about a closure, this will go onto the front cover of a journal with something behind it. So I've just taken one of the coin images. These were from the scrap paper. Just punched a couple of those out, and again I've put glossy accents on it and punched a few bits of scrap paper in the manila, so that's going to make a nice strong circular shape. And then just another bit of scrap manila folder. I'm going to glue that together, and what I thought I'd do is adhere all these together and then pop a magnet, probably a magnet in there, glue that all down, put that on, and then that will close with a magnet onto there. I'll trim the corners off, and then I'll open the front cover and glue that, a tab behind that, so that's just a lift off attachable tab. So that's the plan for that. I've got these are all my images, my pages all trimmed down and inked, ready to start placing in the journal. And I've got some scrap card in colours that will go. This is what's left of the manila envelopes, and they'll be perfect for things I need, and a few other bits of scrap. So I'll show you what I'm doing now with the construction. So it's all still separated. So I've got to put something strong on this, probably a bit of cardstock on that to make that a stronger front cover so that it will carry that piece. And then I've glued in this little sleeve. I've left that open. That could be a pocket, or I can add bits to that. I haven't made that decision yet. I've added a little, you can see here, I've added that's just a 1/4 inch score so that I can stitch some papers into that. And once I've done that and I'll figure out whether I want that to be a pocket or just cut that off. So that will be the first bit. To join these two pages, you've got some options. You could either just glue this top to this back like that and glue them, but I don't want to lose that blue because I really like it. So I've just got a bit of scrap and I'm just going to make a hinge that will join those two, and then when I put my images on, the hinge will pretty much disappear, but I'll keep that blue colour, which is what I wanted. So that's going to be hinged together. This one here is the next signature, and I've got some options. I can hinge that again, or I can make, just using these scraps, make little like hinges, but basically make it either a side loading pocket or a top loading pocket, depending on what I wanted to do with that. So that's ready to go. I've got another hinge piece again, just leftover manila to adhere these together. Oh, what have I done in here? Hang on. I've got a tuck pocket here, so that's going to be perfect for one of these images. I've got an open pocket here to put something in. I can notch that if I want to keep that as a pocket. And I've glued these three pieces in that will be pages that just flip out. And then this, I just thought I could use a magnetic closure, so I'll glue that to that and put a magnet on here and on here so that it can hold those closed. So that's ready to go. These two can just glue together. They're the right size to just glue together, and that makes that a nice sturdy page. Again, if you wanted it to be a pocket, you could do that, but there's going to be so many pockets in this. This one, I've just got the two flip out pages, and I've put a notch in that one and made that a pocket as well. So I'll cover that, so that will be like a hidden pocket in there for something quite large. And we keep going. Then I've got more of the blue paper. That's another sleeve, a slightly larger. I think that's a 3/8 inch gusset. Yep. So that will be for another signature to go in there. And again, I can hinge these two pages together and keep going in my journal. I've got another double page flip here, so these will just flip out. And there's no pocket on this one. That's just ready to go. And that will be the back cover. So you can see that you've got some options with how you put all your signatures together, and you can pretty much make this journal as big as you like. When I include mine with all of the little, it's a bit hard to show you, but when I've got mine all put together, you're going to have, let me see if I can get some of it together. You're going to have like a multicolored spine. I'll just give you a rough idea. You're going to have a multicolored spine, which I think is really nice. I quite like that. I think that's another one there. So you're going to see bits of blue and bits of brown together, which I think would be nice, and you could decorate those. So for the moment, that's where I'm at. What I'm going to do next is just slot these bits and pieces in, fix my cover on, and put the pages on where images onto the pages where I want them, and have a go at making some signatures. And I've also got these envelopes to pop in. So these, for example, where the sleeves are open, like on this one, if I wanted to have this envelope in here, I could glue that tab into that and have it flip out like that. And again, these images that I've got printed, you could even do something like that, have a pocket on an envelope. So I'm going to put all that together, and I won't bore you with the gluing and cutting. And I'll come back and show you when I've got the base pages together and some of the images in place and some of the ephemera where I want it. Here's the next stage of the journal. So I've gone through and made this little flap. I've got to decorate the inside, and I've just popped magnets inside it as I explained, and a magnet underneath this cover, so that will snap closed like that. This isn't fixed yet, that will sit on the front. I was thinking it might be nice, this is just a piece of cardstock to reinforce that front cover, and I was thinking it might be nice to do some script with brown embossing powder, so I'll have a look at that. So that will be the front cover, and then once I've fixed that up I will glue that on, and that will make that a stronger front cover. So that's that part. And then I've just gone through and just clipped in place. They're not cut or trimmed perfectly yet, but there's all the images. So I've put an image, a place to journal. There's a pocket there that I can add a big card to. I can decorate all of these parts and the little pockets inside that. I can make that a pocket that folds over this way or the other way, and I've just clipped an image in that I like. This one the same. So what I'll do, because I've got a pocket on the back, I'll fold this one over that way to make a pocket on the front and close that up. I've just tucked a little envelope. It can go anywhere, but I've just tucked an envelope in a pocket there. The blue images on the blue manila folders, that looks really nice, so I've just clipped that into place. And what I'll do is, when I've got all of these bits folded over, I will then probably cut and make tabs on the end of this little bit, so I'm not cutting that just at this stage. There's another image on the back, and once again that'll have the tab on it there. This has got space for a journal, so I'll stitch some journal pages in there. There's another pocket there. I've just tucked an envelope in there, so that's a little flip out envelope, and I can decorate that up. I've got another image on the blue paper here, and I need to trim this down to fit the edge on that, and another blue image on the back. Once again, just need to trim that down a little bit. There's another pocket to tuck something in and decorate. Another image there, the flip out, the two flip out pockets to decorate with a hidden pocket in there. So that's yet to be decorated. This page, I thought I'd have that image there. There's another pocket, another flip out here with a pocket on this side. So I'll cover the back of that and put that image in there. This has got another large pocket. I can put something in there with a tab on it and have that pull out. This one, I just glued this bit of scrap card on and fixed a magnet underneath and there, so that's got the flip out pages that I can decorate. Another image there ready to go on. The notepad, I thought if I decorate it, close it up on this side, and that will tuck in to that space, and I can decorate behind that. There's another nice image on the blue. Again, I'll make the tabs fit when I get all of the edging all finished, I'll make tabs on there. There's another image on the back with some blue tones. And then I've got another large pocket here. Another image, a spare page, a pocket. This can go anywhere really. It could sit anywhere. I'm just sort of sitting that there for the moment, and I've got in the scraps, I've got plenty of these sort of size images that I can back and make something that they'll be a good size to go into that pocket. I make a couple of those up. And we're getting towards the back now. I've got a couple of blank pages. I've just clipped that pocket. I'll put the you can see there the flap through there, so that will just be a flip out pocket, and I can decorate the front of that. And this will be the back of the journal, and I've got to put another cover I've got that same piece of cardstock. I'll make a cover to go on the back just to make that sturdier. And then I thought I'll show you on the, without having the journal signature pages ready to go. I'll try and get it to hold all in the right spot. So that's what the signature is going to look like. And I thought it would be really nice with some jewels on the blue. And then you'll have 1, 2, 3 signatures added throughout the journal, and lots and bits of pieces that I can tuck in. So I'll go ahead and finish the journal, and I might put this one for sale. I'm really happy with it. I love the colours, and I might put this one for sale on the site. So I'll come back and show you the finished product in a journal flip through. But I hope you have a go too at making something like this. File folders are really versatile, and I know the height is different in all of the different file folders, but the width is generally the same. So you can cut down and use old file folders and then make something really lovely. And it's going to help make a really interesting journal that's got lots of places to tuck things and hide things and continue to decorate. So thank you so much for watching, and have a lovely day, and I'll catch you on the flip through.